Hello, everybody. Welcome to
Hello.
Coach's Corner. It feels interesting. Like we haven't done this in a while. It's interesting how you can perceive time, but it's always a pleasure to share this knowledge and to help each and every one of you that tune in with some very, very powerful and uplifting and motivating and inspiring and revealing, if that's enough adjectives right there, of material. So, this is so important to adapt to your life. And, we kind of have an announcement. Well, yeah, as a group, we have an announcement on what we're sharing today. And does everybody have their book there? Can we just kind of reveal U Squared by Price Pritchett? There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. This book is extremely powerful, and it was brought to my attention, I'm sure my colleagues as well, through our mentor Bob Proctor. And this is one of the study books to not miss. So we're gonna kind of explain a bit of things and give you a little more in depth. And to begin, my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach / business consultant. I'm in the Maryland area, and I'm the founder of Believe in the Unseen Consulting. My purpose is to reveal the hidden potential that's already within you and just guide you to your truest desires. So I help hardworking but unfulfilled professionals who know they're capable of more, but yet they feel stuck in a cycle of effort without progress, lacking clarity, lacking direction, and the subconscious programming, needed to create the income and freedom and life they truly desire. And I'm here to help guide you there. So I'll pass it on to my awesome colleague, Lou.
Well, thank you, Jamel. Hi, Alicia. It's good to see you. We're wishing Paul, he's at a dive competition today, so we're wishing him and his team the best of luck today. Or, no, I shouldn't say luck, right? We're sending them our best wishes today. But so my name is Lou Parica, and I am a success mindset mentor and speaker. And what I do is I work with growth minded women who, sometimes you may feel stuck or unfulfilled. And I help you reconnect with yourself so you can live with a feeling of prosperity and purpose and joy. And I believe success isn't about doing more, and that's what we're going to be speaking about today, but it's about untying those mindset knots that silently hold you back, the beliefs, the patterns, the self doubt. And when we start untying those, now we're able to step into the life that we're really meant to live. And I just wanted to just make a quick comment about I'm so excited about today because when when we were studying with Bob and the community and at many of the trainings, Bob would always mention his favorite books. And of course, Think and Grow Rich was the first one. And then he introduced us, or at least me, into Science of Getting Rich, Psycho Cybernetics, and I kept hearing about this book, U Squared. And I was like, what is that? And when I finally ordered the book and saw how small it was, and started to read it, I think it took me 30 minutes to read. I was blown away about the simplicity and how it touched upon how my belief was always incremental. When I wanted to raise my income, I wanted to do it maybe 10, maybe 20%, right? But I thought I had to do all these extra steps. So I'm really looking forward to diving into this book and sharing our insights, our experience with our audience. So now I will pass it over to Alicia.
Thank you, Lou. And hi, Jamel. And Paul, we miss you. So, my name is Alisa Espinosa. I am a certified mindset and values coach. And I help people who have everything but feel empty on the inside. So I help people to create a life that feels good on the inside, not just it looks from the outside. And is that to living from the inside out. That is what I help people. And I also help leaders to be a leader worth following. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you both. I am excited. There you go. First of all, thank you for those that are here live watching and tuning in. Thanks for joining us. I see a couple people on different platforms, so don't feel afraid or afraid to interact or engage or ask a question or comment. We love live participation, so don't be scared of us. You're here for a reason. You know, you attracted this material at this point in your life for some specific reason, whether you know you're meant for more or you desire more in life. So what I'll say here also is hello, hi, hello. So what I'll also say also, you know, if this really speaks to you, reach out to one of us. Don't let this just be entertaining or well, it can be entertaining, but you know, this is really about your life and your future and what you're creating, you know, and make sure that you just reach out to us. Our call links are in the comments or the description of this post, or you know how to reach us on whatever platform that you're viewing this on. Okay. So let's dive into U Squared. I'm so glad Lou mentioned how, you know, we kind of been revealed to this type of knowledge or this book. And we're not just here to sell books, you know, we're here to share the information for you to create whatever it is that you want and just kind of reveal what you already have. And it's interesting, this topic, I mean, this title, for all my math people, whenever you square something, you're basically multiplying whatever it is times itself. So what is U squared? YOU squared. And we all know here that we're unlimited beings. We're unlimited. And the only thing that limits us is our thinking and our thoughts. So really take in that title, U squared. There's no scientist or magician or whatever can figure out what you're worth, right? So being unlimited and squaring that, what would that look like for you? Amazing. So Lou, would you do the honor of reading that quote in the beginning?
Oh, I love this quote. And I actually forgot about it. So the quote is by, I hope I pronounce this correctly, Heraclitus, 500 BC. So that's what I love about what we're sharing with you. This has been around since people could speak, right? And write about it and share about this information. If you do not expect it, you will not find the unexpected, for it is hard to find and difficult. So what that means, how I interpret that is, if you don't expect something different in your life and you're living within your, what we call our paradigms, right? How we view the world, that's what we expect from the world. So if we expect limitation, if we expect things to be hard, if we expect that other people can do things but not us, this is what we start to notice. And the same thing with struggle. So what we have to do is see a different version of ourselves and the life we were never conditioned to believe was possible. And that's what U squared. And actually, this is what all of our discussions are about. And like Jamel said, you know, 2 square is 4, 4 square is 16, but U square, no one has that answer. We don't know what our true potential is, but what we're doing is we're diving into possibilities. and what we are capable of, but unless we can come up with new ideas and new visions, we stay within our conditioned, limited beliefs and patterns. So that's what I loved about that particular quote, because it's asking you to look for a new perspective. And it may come through sometimes discomfort. I've experienced that plenty of times, and I'm sure my colleagues as well. But it can come through opportunities and disruption. So whenever we're experiencing something, just pause for a moment and see the gift that's being presented to you, even if you don't like what's happening at that particular moment. But that experience is asking you to pause and reflect and see what's being presented to you to help us shift the way we look at things. So that's what I love about this quote. But again, if you don't expect yourself to grow and you've already set your limits, this is who I am, this is who I'll always be, that's what you will remain, which is fine if that's what you choose, right? But there's many, many layers and many possibilities to us. But unless we explore that, we remain doing the same things over and over. Alicia?
Yeah, I wrote here while you were talking, ideas that come to me. No, so it's good when you say when we not expect things that the quote says difficult to find that. And what I feel is that if we stay conditioned into to the pattern that we have, if we don't expect, if we don't believe, then we will be a victim of the circumstances. And when we be a victim of the circumstances, we don't believe in ourselves and we don't see the opportunities that is serving to us, that life served to us. And instead we use that as a coping mechanism, to continue to be a victim. And if we stay there, we get a fixed mindset instead of the growth mindset that is needed in order to expect the new things, the believing in ourselves. I was talking to a person some days, and I was coaching the person, and it is a situation that person is in, and he was like, but this is a very bad situation. And I was talking to him and discussing and how he using these circumstances as a coping mechanism and not expressing all the knowledge, all the ability, all the talent that he has, because he has decided, yeah, but I am this type of person. So he has like a fixed mindset, and then when he has that fixed mindset, he cannot see the opportunity. And I said, if this circumstance is here for a learning, what can it be? And then he started to think. I said, okay, so if you say that, okay, this is me, I am always like this. I say, well, when do you decide that? When you come out from your mother's belly, and you say, yeah, the doctor say, yeah, that person will be like this. And he say like, oh no, yeah, sometimes you decided that you are that person, and then it's a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
And then you talk about the U square. And I mean, we are infinite person. So the square of the infinite is like even infinite. So, so it's we have so much within us that we just just need to believe in ourselves, in our talent. Yeah.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I love that. So good.
I have
Yeah.
find your way.
See?
What does yours say, Alicia?
Find your way.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Well, mine is green.
There you go. Green for money, for growth, for abundance, for
There you go.
prosperity.
Yeah, I
There you
put
go.
today, seeing everybody with a green,
There you
green
go.
lens.
See the synergy here on Coach's Corner. It is it's profound. Yeah, when you think about this quote, if you do not expect it, you will not find the unexpected. So, what that really is, expect abundance. I just hear Bob screaming that expect abundance, expect abundance. And what I receive from that is just expect the good in your life, expect the way you want it to happen. And that's challenging for a lot of people because they're so used to being programmed from the outside in. Basically, what we're all saying here. You're looking at your results, you're looking at who you've been for years, you're looking at just everything in your life outside of you, and you're letting it repeat what you're expecting. Oh, it'll be the same. Oh, that'll take a while, or that never happens, right? So if you do not expect something outside of that cycle you've been repeating year after year, you'll not find it. So you have to shift, you have to change that cycle that you've been creating. And it says, for it is hard to find and difficult. So it's interesting. If you really dive into this quote, at the beginning, it says, if you do not expect it, you will not find it. Right. And then it says, for it is hard to find and difficult. So it kind of softens up at the end, saying, hey, it's nearly impossible. So, but the key thing is right now is the perfect time to shift your thinking. Expect the unexpected, right? The unexpected is outside of your normal thinking. And your thinking, most of us are conditioned to think one way from outside of the womb up until 7 years old, right? You have these deep beliefs about yourself and what you're capable of doing and how special you really are. So, excellent quote by Heraclitus, 500 BC.
Yeah, 500
Wow.
BC. Right?
I think that's one of the oldest we shared here. All right, so we'll move on to a beautiful story. My awesome colleagues, blessed me to share this with you. So it's a true story, and may this resonate with each and every one of you. So I'm sitting here in a quiet room at the Millcroft Inn, a peaceful little place hidden back among the pine trees, about an hour out of Toronto. It's just past noon, late July, and I'm listening to the desperate sounds of a life or death struggle going on a few feet away. There's a small fly burning out the last of its short life's energies in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of the window pane. The whining winds tell the poignant story of the fly's strategy. Try harder. But it's not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed to breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. This fly is doomed. It will die there on the windowsill. Across the room, 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time, and this small creature could reach the outside world it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it could be free of this self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is there. It would be so easy. Why doesn't the fly try another approach? Something dramatically different. How did it get so locked in on the idea that this particular route and determined effort offer the most promise for success?
Hmm.
What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? No doubt this approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it's an idea that will kill. Trying harder isn't necessarily the solution to achieving more. It may not offer any real promise for getting what you want out of life. Sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. So if you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. Price Pritchett.
Hmm. Great job, Jamal.
Thank you.
Heard that fly story. We've heard that. I don't know, maybe 100 times I've heard that story. Oh, my cover just fell off of the book. So what I loved about this story, because we've all seen a fly trying to break free, keep hitting that pane of glass. And this particular story was eye-opening for me because I realized I was doing the same things over and over, but I thought if I just tried harder. So I was doing the same thing that the fly was doing because I was looking through life through whether it was business, relationships, my health. I was looking through the same conditioned lens. I wasn't expanding, like Alicia was saying, I wasn't expanding my perspective to see what else is possible because I was so conditioned of doing the same things. And if I thought I'd just try harder or do more or try a new strategy, things would be different. But I was doing it all with the same thinking, the same beliefs, the same patterns. And this is what the fly is doing. He truly believes, or it truly believes, that that's the only way to freedom is through that pane of glass. And I think many of us do that. And I like that it says, what logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? Because more of the same just keeps giving us more of the same. And like I had mentioned earlier, we need to see a new version of ourselves. And all three of us have been talking about, we all have so much potential. This is why the very, very first Coach's Corner that we started, we always ask, what do you want? Because until you ask yourself that question, what do you truly, truly want? You'll continue to repeat the same patterns because that new want, something big, something audacious, something that scares you but excites you, brings up a new version of you. It causes you to think differently, to take risks. Something that we've all done it. We continue to do it. We continue to do things that scare us. I know I do, and I know my colleagues do. I don't even have to wait for them to answer. I know they do, because we know that the unknown is stretching us. But unless we even consider stepping into the unknown, we stay with familiarity, because the pain that we're familiar with, we already know how to get around it. We've been doing it for decades. So the unknown may bring different pains, different feelings, and that may scare us. So we stay with what is familiar. I know I did this for decades. I was too afraid to make a step, a move, because, that will bring, me more headaches, or I don't know what would happen, what the results are going to be. I think I'll just do this and I'll just try a little harder. And that was the thinking that I used to have. And that's why I'm super grateful for this information that has absolutely changed my life. Jamel or Alicia, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, when you say what we talk about at the beginning, it remember me about what do you really truly want. And I asked that question 2008 to myself, where I was in that situation where I have everything, a very good job, a family, beautiful. And I felt that I was running, through this, trying to reach something that I really didn't know what it was, because I was like, oh yeah, maybe that position. And then when I came there, it was like, no, it wasn't that. And it was running, so I was running to trying to impress. I was running without slowing down and take time for reflection, and also trying to be the best. So by doing that, I forgot to live life, because always was something that I needed to achieve. And it was like when one day I decided, like, okay, is this everything life has to offer? And I started really, really think about what I love to do, and is why it's so important to have this reflection, because we are people, we are humans that we learn by mimics. We mimic our parents when they trying to open the mouth and we try to eat, they are like, and then, so all the time we are learning by seeing other people doing. And then when we grow up, we don't take the time to think that, or is this goal I have a mimetic goal, or this is really, really something that comes from my inside, that my soul is, the desire of my soul, or is the ego that want to have that. And it's why I work a lot with values, because when you start to think about your values, you stop seeing the world through other people's frame. And I have my props here, because we have different how we see the world, and we have different frames. And if we have this type of frame of see the world, because it's the culture, the language, the everything that we have been unlearning. And then we set the goals, because Lou has this frame, and I set my goals like, oh, Lou is doing that, maybe I should do that. And what happened is that you are getting frustrated, because I can get frustrated because it's not according to my values. So I will not be inspired to take action, because I am trying to build my life from another person's frame of seeing the world. And it's why it's so important to stop and just reflect what is really, really important to me, so that you are not being deflated in this, trying to reach something that is not there for you.
Wow, that's really good. Great share. What's so important about that is your goal for you or for someone else? and a lot of people can relate to that, myself included. How many goals did we go after because of what our parents said, or what our friends said, or society says, where you're from? It shapes what you believe is meant for you, right? But half-heartedly, well, wholeheartedly, that this doesn't resonate. It doesn't feel right for me. That's powerful. And I can relate to that, because there are many things I did that I didn't choose for myself. And I'm thinking about this story. I was that fly for so long.
Yeah, for sure.
For a decade, easily. Banging my head on the window. Killing myself, essentially, right? And when I really think about this story, at this point in my life, what it's saying is, have faith and be guided, to me, right? Because that fly is trying to go through that window, and there's just a easy way this way. But that fly thinks that if I go this way, no matter what, I can make it. And that's what a limiting understanding, a lack mindset, to me. And having faith is knowing that it's working out, and you're open to receive another direction. And all you're doing is walking a path that's already prepared for you. And now that I read that again, I was like, wow, okay. Right? Because the fly, he knows what he wants. His goal is to get outside in this story, right? But there's different ways of achieving it, and a lot easier. And also it says, somewhere basically, without effort, you can fly right out the door. So there's no effort required. That also connects a lot to what Neville teaches, and Bob as well. All the teachers, right? Growth, it's effortless, right? Especially when you know where you're going. This fly knows where it's going, but it happens to choose a route that's challenging, extremely challenging. So you have to be open to shift your perspective. It's all mental faculties too, if you think about it. It's all connected to mental faculties. So be open to being guided and supported. And that comes with a vision, faith, and gratitude, right? I'm sure the fly probably wasn't thinking about all these things. But we as human beings, we have this ability to choose faith over fear. And, fear, there's desperation there, there's frustration, there's anxiety, there's doubt, there's worry. Oh, what if this doesn't work? And I gotta imagine that fly. He's stressed out, right? I gotta get out. I've been here 3 days in this house or whatever, right? And that's tension. That's the opposite of the natural ways of of life. So really deep story when you look at it, again and again and again, right?
So I just had an aha
Yes.
as you were talking. Are you finished? I'm sorry. Were you finished?
Oh, I'm finished. Go ahead, Lou.
Okay. So I was thinking about the window and what the window represents, right? So the window represents beliefs, patterns, conditioning, fear, familiarity. But what the fly can see past that window is freedom. So we all want that freedom, whatever that means for you, whether it's financial, whether it's a relationship, whether it's good health, whatever that means for you. And that fly can see it. But the window, because it's see-through, but he can still see, there is still this guard. It's like an unconscious curtain. So he knows he wants freedom. We know we want financial freedom, good health, healthy relationships with others and with ourselves. But that window is our conditioned patterns. That's the lens that we're seeing life through. And we don't even realize we're doing these things over and over again. So the fly doesn't even realize he's conditioned to, he sees what he wants, but he keeps hitting that window thinking, well, if a fly does think that he can get that way, and he doesn't even consider trying something new. This is why having a new goal gets you to think differently. Maybe instead of the freedom, he should think, what is a different way to get to that freedom? But I just want to share something really quick. I went to a graduation yesterday, a dear, dear friend of mine, and she's a year younger than me. Okay. So as all these students are going up and getting their degrees and diplomas, and they're announcing everyone's name, the majority, I would say, if there were 1,000 people, I would say 999 of them were around their 20s, give or take. My friend is a year younger than me. And I don't know, she's an amazing cook and baker, highly educated. I don't know what she'll do with that degree. Will she start a business, continue her business? I don't really know what she'll do with it. But sometimes it's not always for some other external gain. Sometimes it's just for personal fulfillment. Like the younger students, they're going to start a career, right? In whatever it is that they got their degree. They're going to start their life. But perhaps depending on what stage you're at, sometimes it's just for personal fulfillment. Doesn't necessarily you're going to start a business to do something amazing with this new information. It depends. It depends what you want. But there's something about having personal fulfillment. I did it for me because it means something to me. And when we feel better about ourselves, about our own personal accomplishments, there's a ripple effect. You just show up differently.
Yeah.
You don't need to always have, fireworks and wow, look what I did. Yay, yay, yay. But it does show. It does show. It will show up in the way you walk. It will show up in the way you speak, how you greet people, everything. And I caught Brian Proctor. This is Bob's son, who just wrote a new book. And I believe the title is Quit Screwing Around. And how many times did we hear Bob say that? And for him to get to that point, because typically he doesn't speak that way, but for him to get to that point and say, stop screwing around with your life, because we only have one bite at the apple, so far we know. Make the best of it. Be fulfilled, live with joy, be able to look in the mirror and say, hello, I love you. Right? So depending on what you want to do with your life, but knowing you hold the pen, you hold the paintbrush, you are the author. And what we're doing here is sharing. There is so much potential within each and every one of us that it's waiting to be expressed. So I just wanted to share a couple of those things. I'll hand it back over to whomever.
I got also an insight when you talk about the window and conditional pattern, because we study before we studied Neville, and we talk about the feeling is the secret, and we talk about the conditional state. So if we have a conditional state that we repeat all the time, so it will be the same belief, same action, same results, the same inner state, and the same outer world. So in this is like the flight is not lacking effort, it's lacking awareness. and we were talking before about awareness, and because if we have more effort in the wrong directions, then it doesn't create new results. It will create the same.
Mhm.
So I was thinking about that, and I think that we don't need more effort. We need a different direction of consciousness. So, and also about your friend, the fulfillment of for self,
Mm.
I really believe that she was so inspired and motivated to do that because
Mhm.
it's fulfilling her. It's according to her frame and not to another. People will not understand why she's doing that,
That's
but
right.
it's
Yeah.
according to her frame. It's like, in my frame I want this, and it's that important because it will get motivation from the inside and the inspiration to others, but from the inside it comes the motive to take action, and then it will not be something that is like, "Ah, I must do this." Because if you have a goal and you feel that you must do, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I must do this, I should do this, then sorry, you need to check your goals and look at if they are really your goals, because it should be it's like when you have your goal, it's like, oh, I'm waking up in the morning and I am so eager to do this because I love do this. I want to do this. That is when we know that when we get this inspiration with the motivation from the inside, then we know that this is my goal. This is according to my values and my soul.
Yeah. And I was wondering how many of those kids, I call them kids, those young adults, because of culture, is it something that they truly want to pursue?
Hmm.
Or is it because culturally it is
Yeah.
strongly suggested that they go into certain fields? And this is where the force, right? Making it work. I must do this. So yes, I'm glad you brought that up, Alicia. Yeah, for sure. Jamel.
Yeah, we can go down that rabbit hole, of how culture shapes entire lives, whether good, bad, or indifferent, right? Wow. All right. So the promise. Are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
What is the promise? Are you ready for this? So this chapter. So we'll start here. Right now, in this moment, you are capable of exponential improvement in your performance. Everybody that watches this or listens to it, you are capable. You can multiply your personal effectiveness, hit new highs, and shatter your old achievement records. The results you can have will be hard for you to imagine. You can become U squared. Wow. And at the beginning of Coach's Corner, we talked about this. What is U squared? It even says you're capable of exponential improvement, not 10%, not 20%. We're talking thousands of percents, if you will, right? And shatter old achievement records. You know what really sticks out to me here is the results you can have will be hard for you to imagine. I can't, stress enough that how many people I talk to have, in my experience, can't imagine themselves where they want to be. How sad is that? Because all that is mental conditioning. And when you can't imagine beyond your current circumstances, you're stuck. You really are. And it says you'll be hard for you to imagine. So the only way to multiply your personal effectiveness, you have to imagine something greater than where you are.
Mhm.
And that's where you're getting very clear on what you want. The desire, basically, you get emotionally involved in whatever it is you want. There's no effort. Here comes the effortless way, right? That's the fly flying out of the door, 2 feet the other direction. So whenever it's effortless, that's natural, right? You're not forcing anything. And it all starts in the fantasy, right? Everything's created twice, first in the unseen and then in your material world. So if you're not getting clear on what you want, for one, it'll be difficult to imagine. Use your imagination. And the sad thing is, you're imagining the same thing over and over again. You're letting your senses, what you see, what you hear, smell, taste, touch, repeat itself. And it's really clear. It's very clear, because if you've been operating like the most people on this planet, a majority, you will basically get the same thing over and over, even in your own imagination, where everything starts. So by the renewing of your mind, this is good. You have to renew your mind, because if you don't, you're going to stay where you are and you're not going to get the results you want. And you don't have to settle for the things as they are now. It says in the next sentence. You know how many people settled in life? Just gave up. Oh, I'm happy where I am. I'm getting by. That's your limiting self-talking, because you desire more. Settling for life. It's so interesting, right? When you think about that, settle is like, I was helping somebody do their flower bed. We made it really nice too. I won't say her name, but hi if you watch this. So basically, after I did her flower bed, the soil's loose on the top, right? And I moved some shrubs around, planted some beautiful flowers and plants, and the soil's disturbed, right? And with all that movement in the soil, I was telling her to make sure to water it at night so it can settle, right? So when it's disturbed like that and you water it, the soil, it relaxes and it becomes more uniform, and it forms better. It'll be a nice smooth surface, etc. So it's settling. It's not going anywhere. And are you that person stuck in a flower bed that's not moving? We either create or we disintegrate. So because if you don't imagine outside of where you are, you're settling for things how they are now. And it's a tough place to be, because you naturally want to grow. This is why you want things. You want more success. You want better results in your business. You want a bigger impact. You want more money. You want more time. And this is why we do Coach's Corner. I'll stop there.
Alicia, do you want to go or?
No, go you.
Okay. So what the promise is, so this chapter, and it's only a couple of paragraphs, it's called The Promise, but the promise is you don't have to be content with improving things incrementally or gradually. You are capable, like Jamel mentioned a couple of times, of exponential improvement, not just incremental improvement. This is the promise. So if you asked yourself, what if my life could look completely different a year from now? Not because you worked yourself into exhaustion, but if your thinking changed, if your self-image and identity changed or shifted, if your expectations changed or shifted, what could your life look like? And this is where the imagination, Jamel mentioned our mental faculties. So this is where the imagination comes in. And this is why when you watch documentaries, I love documentaries. When you watch documentaries and you see how the majority of the main characters started out in life, typically it's a very limited lifestyle, whatever, environment filled with limitations and lack. And then whatever they do during their life, they hit rock bottom. They've had enough. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Maybe their back was against the wall. There was nowhere else to go but up. This is when people reach that point. I always wonder, wow, what a gift. What a gift to reach that point, because they got so sick and tired of the struggle, of the lack, of the hurt, right? Of the pain, whatever it is that they were experiencing, that they made this committed decision that was so full of conviction. I am going to do X, Y, and Z, no matter what, because they've already experienced all the pain, all the struggle that a person can really go through. They're going to try something different. And that's why documentaries are so great. I'm reading a book, I forget the author's name, and the title, I believe, is 10 times or 10x is easier than 2x. Alicia, you're nodding your head, right? Because the 2x, this is what we're talking about. You're thinking if you do a little more, work a little harder, that's the 2x. And it can feel challenging or difficult. But the 10x takes you into a different version of yourself, somewhere you've never been before. And this is what the goal does to you. This is what a goal that you truly, truly desire, that you really want to experience in your lifetime. This is what I want to experience. This is how I want to grow. This is how I want to contribute to life, to society. That place. And that takes imagination. And that imagination typically is 10x more, 100x more than where you currently may be now. Is it scary? Heck yeah, because you've never been there before. But once you allow it, once you allow the idea to kind of settle in, and you think about it, you're rolling it over and over, and you're playing it out over in your imagination, and you become emotionally connected to the goal. And that is the key, being emotionally connected. Because if you're not emotionally connected, it's just another wish or a hope or an idea. But that wish or hope or idea will come into physical form, whether through you or through someone else, because that idea wants to give birth. And you got that idea. I get certain ideas. Jamel gets certain ideas. Alicia gets ideas. We're not getting each other's ideas. Sometimes they will overlap. But it's that idea. Who's going to bring it into fruition? Who's going to bring it from the non-physical into the physical? And it'll just keep going from person to person to person until that idea comes alive. This is why thinking, imagination, new ideas, thinking outside the box is so powerful, so necessary to live a life that is fulfilling to you. And that fulfilling life, you, again, as I mentioned earlier, you show up differently. You contribute to society so much better, because when you know yourself and when you know that you are capable of so many things, we can't even mention them. We don't even know what we're capable of. You will know that every person that you come in contact with has the same potential. They're just showing you their limitations. They're showing you their lack, their self-doubt. When you tell somebody what your dream or your goal is and they laugh, they're showing you their limited thinking and beliefs. So this is what we want to share, is to live your best life. Because this is your journey. This is, each one of us has our own path. And I'm a parent, and sometimes it can be, I had to learn not to live on my children's path. That's their path. I've got my own. I mean, they're adults now, right? But they're going to live their own path. So enjoy your life. Make the best of it. There's so many layers to us. And this is what we're unveiling, so to speak, through Coach's Corner. And this is what we strive. Is it a challenge? Yes, sometimes. Yeah, for sure. Because we're still dealing with environments, other people, conditions, and circumstances, but we don't get sucked into them now. I don't know. I'm sure Jamel, Alicia, you feel the same. Like you see things are happening. You're not ignoring them, but you observe them differently with a different perspective. So you don't get caught up in the drama and all that distraction, like with social media. I find myself I've pulled back because I felt it kept trying to pull me in. I was like, no, thank you. So I pull back a little. But this is what living a great life, because we are all creating our own life. Jamel?
Alicia?
Yeah, I have that, you say about emotionally connecting to your goals. And we discussed it before, Neville, about the feeling is the secret.
Mm-hmm.
And is assume the feeling of the wish fulfill. Also, instead for that one day I will do this, it's like feeling that this is who I am now and go for that. So when you change your state, you will change your identity also. But you need to work for that. And I think that we become the next version of ourselves by building from. We cannot create a new version of ourselves by building from the old one. So we need to become it by deciding a new way differently. Otherwise we will not do that. And I was thinking about that sometimes we don't believe in us so much, but we have so much inside us. And it gets me think about diamonds or precious metals. They are hidden in the roof somewhere, and you need to do the prospecting to see the hidden, to find these precious metals. And when you find them, then you see that, oh, this is a precious metal, so it's diamond or gold or something else. And that is inside us. When we start to work with ourselves and changing or shifting the personality, or not the personality, the identity, then we will see that more and more that, oh, I have a diamond inside me. It's why my company is called Casa de Diamantes, that is diamond house, because it's like there are many people find themselves that they are diamonds.
Mm.
So that is, and that we have one precious thing from the nature is that trees, they cannot move. They are like, but we have the gift that we can decide, we can choose. They cannot do that. Animals cannot do that. But we have that gift, and is to use that gift the best. And also, it's not like life will always be like, a dance in the rose, blue sky all the time, but it's like not fighting the reality. It's like, okay, this has happened now. What is the learning from here? How can I create from this state to go to what I really want? So, yeah, that is.
Wow. I love it. I have to do applause for this entire session. Yeah, that reminds me of Acres of Diamonds. Right? How, for one, we all are diamonds, but do we know that, right? And we're surrounded by them as well. So to kind of close here, I wanted to just kind of read a little bit of this chapter because it'll set the stage for the chapters to come. So it says, you don't have to settle for things as they are now. All right. That can change dramatically. So if you're ready, life is prepared to give you a breakthrough experience right now. So you can jump to a higher orbit of achievement. Live the dream, enjoy a completely different plane of success. So we already talked about how you don't have to improve incrementally or gradually. You can have over 1,000%, right? And it's far less effort than you actually could imagine. So here it says you haven't been reaching your full potential. You haven't. This is why you're here tuned in. Right? So far, you haven't even come close. So this is that diamond within inside that Alicia is talking about. No matter how you wish to measure success, regardless of how you define achievement, you have barely scratched the surface of what you personally can accomplish. Mm-hmm. And I want everybody to really feel that. Right? But maybe the time has come to change all of that right now. So maybe you're ready to make a quantum leap, and we'll talk about what that is. Obviously, it's a big jump, to who you really are, and let go of what you think you are. Speaking of letting go of your limiting self, feel free to reach out to one of us. It doesn't matter whoever you want to speak to. We're here to guide you through this material for you to achieve your quantum leap of whatever % increase you want in your life, right? Whatever you use to measure achievement or success. And our call links, set up a free call with us, talk to us, get to know us. We get to know you and where you want to go. Any last words, ladies?
I think I am good.
All right. Oh, anybody doing anything? The month's almost over, but anything you want to share that you're working on or putting out there to the world?
I'm working on a couple of speaking events. No dates yet, but that's what I'm working on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. And also restructure one of my programs. And but whenever somebody wants to know more about their values, I always do values assessments. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Lou, your speaking events in person, right?
They'll be in person. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm doing online as usual. Next on the 25th through the 29th, I'm doing a live event. So you'll see me actually here on a couple of platforms that I'm on now. If you want access to that, just reach out to me or drop a comment. All right, everybody, this has been the U Squared beginning for Coach's Corner. And we sincerely hope this really helped you today discover your own greatness and how to reveal it. We'll see you next time.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.